And then I also want to ask you about the story of the year, which is what Shohei Ohtani is putting together, because
Wow.
you were a member of the Padres organization not long ago, and they were in the running for him, and they're probably watching him now, being like, "Damn, is there something
Well,
else we could have said to him?"
yeah, they might get him next year. You don't know.
True,
I mean,
true.
yeah. So I was lucky enough. I was the bench coach with San Diego, and we brought a bunch of people up to LA. I believe the groups he's with the CAA. So we had a meeting at their offices, and I went as one of the coaches in there. I'd never, I watched videos on him hitting. I watched videos on him pitching. And when I watched videos on him hitting, I'm like, over in Japan, I'm thinking, okay, he's a good hitter. I didn't see what I'm seeing now, or what we're all seeing now for the last 6 years. Now, when he walked in the room, the first thing I thought, I was like, holy shit, man, this is one good-looking guy. This guy's an actor. This guy should be on film. First of all, he's tall, good-looking guy, and he carries himself like a true professional for how young he is, or was back when the time I met him. And I thought San Diego, I thought we had a hell of a meeting, and then obviously got the word that the Angels got him. But we were talking about before we started this podcast. The thing is that I saw about him hitting is I'm like, okay, I can see where he can be a good hitter, but it wasn't until latter part of spring training. I don't know if it was Albert Pujols or any of the hitting coaches there, talked him into stop doing the leg kick. The ball was getting on top of him, and he was getting jammed a lot. He stopped doing the leg kick, and now you're seeing what you're doing right now. It's just like, it's incredible. We've never seen anything like this. It's like he hasn't lost anything pitching wise. He's still throwing in upper 90s. He's got one day he's throwing the sweeper thing. One day he's throwing the splitter. It's just like he's so creative what he wants to do every time out on the mound. And then hitting wise, I mean, I can totally relate to what he's going through hitting wise, is because he's sitting there with so much confidence, and he knows that guy is putting the pressure on that ball trying to make a great pitch. And you're seeing a lot of pitches left over the middle of the plate. If you leave anything over the middle of the plate for him, sayonara, dude. It is. I mean, it's a bullet base hit, gap shot, or a homer, and it's so effortless. I think it was yesterday. He had a ground ball past second base, and he ran his ass off and turned it into a double. I mean, what, gentlemen, we need to all Major League Baseball. We need to embrace this, because we might never see this again in our lifetime.
No, he's as close to like the perfect all-around player, pitcher, and hitter that we've ever seen. So what happened? Like, you weren't enough? You didn't show him some of the Dig Me videos from back in the day? What was the pitch?
Hey, listen, I was just a lonely little bench coach, looked at some videos, and I told him, like, man, you be one hell of a pitcher, And I think the thing is that San Diego really wanted him to play in the outfield. And they thought that he could play in the outfield and do the pitching. Again, this is before they switched it where the DH and the pitcher can stay in the game, So obviously things have changed since then. But I don't know. I don't know if we've ever really heard the real reason why he elected the Angels. I would assume he wanted to play with, at the time, the greatest player in the game was Mike Trout. So, and he wants to win there with Mike Trout. And I mean, they got a nice team, but unfortunately, Mike Trout's hurt again, and hopefully they can get something done for him and try to keep him here in Anaheim.
And I think back then that was the major disadvantage. You're in the National League, you don't have the DH to fall back on, right? Like, he's trying to kind of prove himself there.
That's the real game, though. That's the real game. I'm sorry. Listen, I wasn't a big fan of the DH. I didn't like DHing. The only time that I ever DH is if I was coming off an injury. Tony might DH me for a game to get in the swing of things hitting wise, but I wasn't a big fan. And then when I got into coaching, then you really saw what really goes on. When you're a player, you're not, maybe AJ, because you're catching, you're more in on it, a lot of the moves and stuff, and you can see if a pitcher's not really having it. But as far as position player, I'm concentrating on what I can do defensively, offensively. And then when I was coaching, man, that's when I really opened my eyes up, and you really can see the things that that really go behind the scenes that when you're a player, you're not in tune to.